Nityanandam, everybody. This is Prasida.
Nityanandam, this is Blissful Athlete tuning in, Dridananda.
And we are finally making a video together. This is our official husband and wife debut.
Woo!
How exciting. So we've been getting a lot of comments, at least I have, I think more than him, but I've been getting a lot of comments on making a video together. And one comment I really loved was about what is the idea of soulmates, right? Are soulmates really real? And the idea of fairy tale romance, soulmates and other halves, like, does this distract you from the spiritual path? Why do a lot of spiritual people obsess about this topic? Like, what is the real context behind all of this, right? And I think this is really so important to talk about because I think love, especially in a relationship like a romantic relationship, between like a spouse or a partner, is really misconstrued nowadays. We're told so many ideas about what it's supposed to be, especially from media, the movies, books, things like this, give us such fake ideas of what love and romance really is.
I think the biggest misconception is even just the concept, you complete me, which is completely false in the sense that you are already a whole and complete being. And I'm sure that's something we can dive into a little bit later on, but the whole idea that you need somebody else to complete you or else you're not going to be happy is basically like the first warning signs that this is a stage 5 clinger, you need to run away from this person because they believe that you're going to complete them and make them happy. That's putting a lot of stress on the relationship, on you, and ultimately you're going to fail because that's not where true happiness comes from. It doesn't come from another being.
Yeah, I think the ultimate point is, like Judah was saying, is like, if there's anytime you feel like a reliance on the other person is coming up, if you feel any type of dependence, codependence, that you need the person to survive, to be happy, for stability, anything, is immediately a state of incompletion is happening and a state of powerlessness. And the whole idea, the whole actual spiritual context of having a partnership in life is that you always are supporting one another to a higher state. And if you're not raising each other, you have to really look at that, because the point is to make each other feel more complete, to remember who you really are, which is a divine being, a powerful being. So when the opposite is happening, when one's feeling like they need the other, and we've gone through this, like, it's hard not to, because it's really programmed in you to not try to not put something on somebody else, like, instead of yourself. We're so used to depending on other people. I mean, even from our relationship with our parents, we're taught this codependence, and like we're taught like it's a good thing. We're taught like it makes you a good wife or a good daughter to make somebody feel needed, and this is actually like a really innately damaging context to your relationship.
And I'll be the first to say that I was never a person that like truly understood this. You know, I grew up just like anybody else in the Western world, believing that, you know, you go to school, you get a job, you get a wife, you marry her, or you get a girlfriend, you marry her, you start a family, you live happily ever after. Like, that's the story. And ultimately, that was my concept as well. At some point, I felt like a failure in my life because I didn't have all these boxes checked off. And even before, even while I was actually spiritual, I still had to go through this process, this experience, to understand that this isn't how it works. I guess we could jump into our story a little bit, because when I had first met Prasida, she was already in a previous relationship, and at the time I was actually practicing celibacy. I was not interested in women. I was taking time off from that, and then I met her and I was just completely blown away. And after some time, I really thought that we would get together, and but that's not what happened. And she ended up just staying with her current relationship just to see it through. And for me, I was absolutely heartbroken. I'm never gonna forget like the moment I found out that, you know, like, this isn't gonna happen. I just completely bawled my eyes out, and I was like, why, Swamiji? Like, why is this happening? Why are you doing this to me? And then this is where, like, how cool Swamiji is and the spiritual path, because the very next satsang or discourse that I watched from my guru was Swamiji talking about how he said that he had devotees ask him, Swamiji, how come you haven't found your other half? And how come you haven't, you're not in a relationship? And he goes, fool, I'm already whole. I'm already whole. And for me, it was just that huge click that, like, I finally understood, like, I'm already whole. I'm already divine. I'm already, like, infinite consciousness. I do not need anything outside of me, because ultimately there is nothing outside of me. And so for me, it was a huge click. And in actuality, because I had that click and because I had that space now where I didn't need her anymore, that's ultimately what did bring us together in the long run.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Like, hindsight is 20/20, right? Like, so looking back on everything we went through before we actually finally started dating, in the brief amount of time that we actually dated before we got married, and everything obviously just was so auspicious in how it happened and like what needed to happen. It's like he came to this completion, and then shortly after, about actually like half a year later, we ran into each other again in India, as we always do, and I had to go through. It was like my turn to have my completion with feeling this need for him or a dependence on him, because he was then still kind of feeling like this. What path is the highest for me? What to take vows to be a monk, basically, or to live a married life. But for me, it was a little hard to like let the idea go of like me knowing I wanted to marry this man for over a year and thinking, oh my gosh, he may not even choose to be with me. But being able to come into this space where I actually did feel authentically like no matter what he chooses, I'm so happy for him. And even if our relationship is only what it was up until that point, which was just a deep friendship, really, a deep love for each other, is that how blessed was I to have known like something like that existed. Like, that was actually my thought current, is like I felt like what I experienced with him was nothing like I had had with anybody else, in terms of it was so conditionless. And so I was like, wow, if anything, I know, like, even if I don't marry him, like, I know I need somebody that is like that with me. I deserve that, and the other person deserves that too. Is like that zero condition love. And so that was a big click for me.
And that's interesting, because in that moment when I first had my breakdown and like, why can't I do it? Think about all that. I took a step back and I was like, you know what? As long as she's happy, I just want my happiness will come from her being happy. And I was able to move myself forward with that cognition that I'm complete with where I am in life, and I want her to be happy, and I want her to be loved. And if she feels loved with the current relationship that she's in, then that's what makes me happy, as long as she's happy. And so it's a really good cognition. I mean, we both had this click now before we actually did even end up together, which I think is absolutely important. If you are ever going to enter into a relationship, the first and foremost understanding is, does this person need me? Do they say they want to be with me because they have this huge necessity, or like, I need to have happiness from being with you, which is completely a terrible way to approach a relationship.
Yeah, and it's not from a place of judgment you're looking at that other person, right? It's like knowing they're your reflection too. So what is the frequency you want to have in your relationship? And I think we'll be the first to say, like, this may come as a surprise, but I don't think either of us have any like ideas like of romance in the way you guys might think, even though we have a very magical story, which we will get into more later. Like, we do have so much auspiciousness that brought us together, but I think we'll be the first to say, like, marriage is not something for everybody and something you should jump into, and there is most definitely alternative paths that are so much straighter to enlightenment, honestly. Like, it's a really challenging to be having to be in oneness, not only with yourself and your own cognitions and patterns, but with somebody else. So we have a lot of friends, including my own brother, who are sannyasis, who have taken vows of celibacy, and they are living a Hindu monk lifestyle. And we'll be the first to say it's like the most beautiful life I've seen, honestly. So I don't want to, I guess I definitely just don't want to, I want to give the context, like, I don't want to promote like that marriage is like for everybody and that it should be a norm. I don't think that that's true. I don't think it should be a norm.
I would agree. Marriage is it is a beautiful happening. I'd be the first to say that, but at the same time, people need to connect with themselves first, with who they are, with what their purpose is, with what life is about. Do they first and foremost have the understanding that they are a spiritual being in a human body, having a human experience? And ultimately, this journey is about you realizing that you are the ultimate source. You are divine. You are infinite consciousness. You are Sadashiva. You are God. However you want to look at it. Do they realize that the purpose of life, you take birth after birth after birth to achieve self-realization, which is that Prasida is not in here. She's actually everywhere in everything. And so if that context is set and both people are understanding, that's a really, really important aspect to entering into a relationship. But like Prasida said, there are many different paths, spiritual journeys that others can go through. And at one point in my life, like she had mentioned, I was seriously considering going down the path of monkhood. Now, it's not to scare anybody away, like it's either marriage or monkhood. There's another path as well. But from what we've seen and what we've experienced here in India, it certainly is a beautiful way of living to go that path as well.
I think, yeah, it all just comes down to context. Whatever you're choosing, if it's from a state of I'm fully complete in my own, I'm fully whole, then anything you do will be from in powerfulness, in manifestation of your reality, instead of manifesting pain or sadness or weakness or victimhood. So it's all only about context. Like actually they say in Hinduism, Swamiji says like 90% of everything is only context, which I just love because a lot of life you're told what to do but never why. Everything is about the why in this tradition. So just ask yourself the why. Ask yourself why you need to be with somebody. If you feel like you even need to be with somebody or you have some idea, a lot of it's programming. Like our society programs so much of this fairy tale idea of romance and what marriage is supposed to be. We're literally just expected to be married. Then people are considered weird or a little odd if they don't end up married in normal society. That's just so sad. Like that's not the context it should be coming from. It should just be coming also from a powerful choice of wanting somebody to just be there to enjoy the journey to enlightenment with you, but not help you get there, you need them to get there. It's just that it's an enjoyment.
So ultimately what you should really realize is that there's no need to be going on the spiritual path and while you're on it looking for your twin flame or your soulmate, because it doesn't exist. Everything is just a reflection of you. And in actuality, your soulmate is just your higher self. You're like your highest possibility. And so when you have this deep feeling connection to something, it's because you're connecting to this possibility that you see as you.
Yeah. And just don't fantasize about, anything in life. Anytime we have some large expectation or visualization fantasy, it only brings us suffering because nothing is like that. It's not reality. So just drop that and always center yourself in you and your own completion and whatever is meant to manifest in your life, whether it be a partner, if you're blessed for that, or if you're blessed for whatever your path may be, whether it be solo, in whatever type of lifestyle you may find. Like all it is the most thing that matters is you finding completion in yourself. I think that's pretty much what we want to say. I think that's a wrap.
So for those of you that are interested in hearing more about our story, like Prasida said at the beginning, we do have a pretty interesting story and it is quite unique and almost mystical. So we'll have to do another video on that and let everybody know exactly what happened. And for those that do know the story, they seem to enjoy it. So we'll do another video on exactly how we did come together and just the experience that we've both gone through since then as well. So.
But I look forward to sharing with you guys. I know we both do, because I think from our own growth, since how the relationships we used to have and experience, like we know how damaging relationships can be and how much you can damage another person. So I'm so open to answering any of your questions. I know Drita is as well on both of our channels. So please do reach out. His channel is Srinitya Dritananda.
What? I'm the blissful athlete, baby. Blissful athlete.
Wait, sorry. Okay, his channel is the Blissful Athlete, and mine is Manitya Prasidananda. And do like, share, and subscribe. Comment. We are very much active on our to replying to everybody. So And we'll also make more videos. If you guys have some good questions for us, we'll do more kind of questionnaire videos, especially tag team if you guys want. So thank you so much for listening, guys, and we'll catch you soon.
Okay, be blissful.
Nityananda.